Imagine waiting a quarter of a century for your dream car to make a comeback, and then it finally arrives with a twist that no one saw coming. So, after 25 long years, an iconic Honda sports car is back. Yes, the Honda Prelude is returning for 2026, bringing nostalgia and shockwaves through the car community. But hold on, this isn't the same high revving coupe that you remember from the 90s. See, Honda's new Prelude is a hybrid, and it's packing a controversial gear shifting setup that's got purists up in arms. So in this video, we'll dive into the Prelude's storied past, the juicy details of its modern revival, and why one bold design choice has got enthusiasts saying, what on earth were they thinking? So don't go anywhere, because this comeback story has more drama than a Fast and Furious plot, and trust me, you'll want to hear every detail. So to understand why the Prelude's return is a huge deal, let's rewind a bit. See, the Honda Prelude first launched in 1978 as a sleek two-door coupe, and by the late 1980s, well, it had developed a cult following in the US. Now, back then, cars like the Prelude, the Toyota Celica, the Nissan Skyline, and Acura's NSX, well, they all defined the golden era of Japanese sports compacts, offering sporty looks and thrills, all without the gas-guzzling V8s of American muscle. Now, Prelude sales peaked in the late 80s as young enthusiasts fell in love with its blend of reliability and fun. It was affordable, it was easy to maintain, and it was fun to drive. The perfect recipe for a first sports car. Now, Honda iterated the Prelude through 5 generations, constantly adding innovations. Notably, the Prelude was an early adopter of technologies like four-wheel steering in the 80s and VTEC engines in the 90s. So by the 1990s, it was a tuner-scene darling, remembered for its rev-happy engines and its nimble handling. However, as SUVs rose in popularity and Honda shifted focus, well, Prelude sales dwindled in the late 1990s. The last Prelude rolled off the line in 2001, marking the end of an era, and for over 2 decades, well, fans have been left with only memories and perhaps the occasional sighting of a well-kept 90s Prelude at a really good car meet. Now, here's where it gets really exciting. Honda has finally decided to resurrect this storied nameplate. The Prelude's return isn't just nostalgia, it's a statement. Honda is telling the world that fun, affordable sports coupes still have a place in the modern lineup. But how do you bring back an icon in the age of hybrids and EVs? Well, by reinventing it, of course. So up next, I'll reveal how the 2026 Prelude is both a nod to the past and a bold leap into the future, including the hotly debated feature that's got absolutely everybody talking. So stay tuned, because the details might just surprise you. So, the biggest change, and perhaps the most shocking to old school fans, can be found under the hood. The 2026 Honda Prelude is hybrid only, meaning there's no traditional gasoline-only engine option. Instead, it borrows Honda's 2-motor hybrid system straight from the latest Civic Hybrid. So we're talking a 2-litre, 4-cylinder engine paired with dual electric motors that together punch out about 200 horsepower and 230 pound-feet of torque. Now that power figure puts it in the same league as the popular affordable sports cars like the Mazda Miata and the Toyota 86. But the delivery will be very, very different. See, Honda didn't boost the power beyond the Civic setup because outright speed isn't the focus here. But instead, the Prelude is tuned for responsive acceleration and agile handling. In fact, Honda benchmarked the new Prelude's handling against none other than the Porsche Cayman, signaling that cornering finesse and balance take precedence over drag race numbers. Now, don't let the word hybrid fool you into thinking this is just a fuel sipper. Honda has injected some serious performance hardware into the Prelude. It rides on the same basic platform as the Civic, but with significant upgrades from the fire-breathing Civic Type R hatchback. For instance, the Prelude shares the Civic Type R's trick dual-access front suspension and the Brembo brakes. Now, these Brembo 4-piston calipers, and by the way, they're painted a very cool hybrid blue, well, they clamp down on large 13.8-inch rotors for serious stopping power. The dual-axis strut setup is lifted straight from the Type R, and it virtually eliminates torque steer despite the car being front-wheel drive. And yes, front-wheel drive is the only configuration, as was the case with all the old Preludes of old. Honda also equipped adjustable shock absorbers tuned specifically for the Prelude. Now, with selectable drive modes, drivers can dial the suspension and throttle response from relaxed to aggressive at just the press of a single button. Now, these chassis enhancements mean the new Prelude should actually dance through corners, and it offers a confidence-inspiring balanced ride. So it's more of a Grand Tourer vibe than an outright track beast. Honda even describes the driving experience as sporty yet comfortable Grand Touring. So in short, the Prelude is back to put a smile on your face on a twisty road while still being civil enough for daily driving. So now, let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, the transmission, or rather the lack of a traditional one. Enthusiasts remember Preludes for their slick manual gearboxes, but, and here's the surprise, the 2026 Prelude will not offer a manual transmission at all. In fact, it doesn't even have a conventional automatic shift lever. Honda has done away with the gear stick and gone for push-button gear selectors on the center console. Now, this is the same setup Honda has used in some Acura models and newer Hondas, a row of buttons for park, drive, reverse, etc., instead of a shifter. Now, it's a modern space-saving design, but for a sports coupe, it's definitely unorthodox. When images of the Prelude's interior actually surfaced, enthusiasts immediately took notice. Some purists even said the setup was scary, or that they hate that they did that to a sports car, feeling that it takes away part of the analog joy of driving. So, of course, Honda anticipated this backlash from gear-shifting purists, and they came prepared with a compromise. So they've introduced a brand new system called Honda S Plus Shift, essentially a fancy simulation to make this hybrid feel more like a traditional sports car. And here's how it works. The Prelude Hybrid uses a single-speed transmission, but in S Plus mode, well, the car will simulate the feeling of an 8-speed automatic. And it does this by electronically stepping the power delivery and even dropping the torque between shifts to mimic those gear changes. When you're accelerating hard, it will pretend to upshift through a series of 8 ratios. And when you decelerate, it can do rev match downshifts, complete with a surge in engine RPM, just like a performance car blipping the throttle. Now, all of this is controlled via paddle shifters on the steering wheel, so the driver can click up or down to shift these virtual gears. The system even holds simulating gears and offers throttle blips and exhaust notes to make the experience convincing. So in essence, the Honda is impersonating a transmission through software, giving you the theatre of shifting without actual gears. Now, it's a bold attempt to preserve driving engagement in a hybrid era, and similar tricks have been tried on some other hybrids. So whether this feels satisfying or gimmicky, well, it will come down to driving it for real. But there's no doubt it's fascinating engineering nonetheless. So is it controversy or innovation? Well, this push button paddle shift only setup is definitely polarizing. On one hand, it's forward thinking, fewer mechanical parts, a high tech vibe, and it allows the hybrid system to operate optimally while still giving the driver something to do. But on the other hand, for many, a sports car without a stick shift, or at least a proper console shifter, is heresy. Honda is taking a gamble that new generation buyers might not care as much about a clutch pedal and might even prefer the novelty of paddle shifters and high-tech modes. The assistant VP of Honda sales, that's Jessica Loudermilk, acknowledged how important driving fun is in the Prelude's return. And she said, "The Prelude's return demonstrates our commitment to exciting, fun to drive vehicles. And Honda's clearly banking on technology to deliver that excitement in a new way. So love it or hate it, this transmission decision is the talk of the town. So beyond the powertrain, what else can we expect? Well, for starters, the Prelude is a two-door coupe with a hatchback-style rear. The styling is modern yet has a hint of retro, and observers note that its low-slung profile and its short overhangs gives off early 2000 vibes, reminding some of late 90s coupes like the last-gen Prelude itself, or even the Mercury Cougar and the Mitsubishi Eclipse of the early 2000s. It's a sleek 2x2 design, meaning 2 front seats and 2 small rear seats. And we do mean small, by the way. Even Honda admits the rear seat is just for occasional use. Up front, the cabin heavily borrows from the Civic and Acura Integra playbook. You get a sporty flat bottom steering wheel with paddle shifters, body hugging leather front seats with a cool perforated houndstooth pattern, and a modern tech like a 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster and a 9-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay. Honda's even throwing in premium touches like a Bose 8-speaker sound system and standard safety aids. So the Prelude comes fully loaded in one single trim. That's right, no trim levels to choose here. Every single 2026 Prelude has the same features, with the only choice being exterior color. See, Honda wants to keep it simple. One configuration that's sporty and techy right out of the box. Now, fuel economy hasn't been stated yet, but using a proven Civic hybrid powertrain, it should deliver an impressive miles per gallon for a sporty car. And we're possibly looking at 40 plus miles per gallon range if driven gently, which, to be honest with you, is wild for a performance coupe. And yes, you can drive it in pure electrical mode at low speeds, since it's fully hybrid. But Honda has cleverly ensured that you'll still hear some engine and exhaust even when the engine is off, just to maintain that emotional connection in sports mode. So you're hyped about the 2026 Honda Prelude. What now? Well, the good news is you won't have to wait long to see it in person. Honda says the new Prelude will arrive in dealerships by late fall 2025, which means at the time of this video, it's just around the corner. So if you're seriously considering buying one, keep an eye on your local Honda dealer and Honda's official website for announcements. Given the nostalgia and the buzz around this model, the first batches could be in high demand, so we wouldn't be surprised if there's a wait list or pre-orders might fill up fast. Remember, it's a 25-year awaited comeback. Enthusiast forums are already lighting up with people saying they want one, so you might just want to reach out to a dealer early to express interest. Honda hasn't officially announced pricing yet as of now, but industry experts estimate a starting price of between $38,000 to $42,000. Now, for comparison, a Toyota GR86 starts around $30,000, but it's far more Spartan and less high-tech, while a Toyota Supra 4-cylinder is in the low 40s. Honda seems to be targeting that sweet spot where you're getting a lot of tech and performance for your dollar. A fully loaded one-trim strategy also means 40,000-ish should get you everything without needing to check option boxes. Still, If you're budget conscious, now is the time to start saving up or planning your trade-in. Car and Driver forecasts about 42,000 as the likely MSRP. Now keep in mind though, dealers might add up markups if demand is crazy at launch. So being an early bird could help avoid additional premiums. So what does this all mean for you? Well, it means more choices for enthusiasts in the near future, whether you lean towards electric performance or hybrid agility. If you love manual, what about petrol fuel driving? Well, options are shrinking, but cars like the Prelude aim to fill that void with a new kind of fun. And also, if the Prelude sells well, it could encourage Honda to keep investing in enthusiast cars. Who knows, maybe you'll see a future S2000 revival or other sporty projects. Now, on the flip side, if these revived models don't catch on, well, it could signal to automakers that nostalgia alone just isn't enough. So if you're as enthusiastic as we are, let Honda know. Engage on social media and show support for your Prelude's return, or voice your critiques constructively because car makers are listening more than ever. So as always, thank you for joining us on this ride through the past, present and future of the Honda Prelude. If you enjoyed this deep dive and share our excitement for the Prelude's comeback, then just smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more enthusiast car content. We'll keep you updated on all the latest car news and reviews. So the question of the day is, what do you think of the new Prelude? Are you loving the hybrid tech and modern touches? Or do you wish it had a screaming VTEC engine and manual transmission, just like the old days? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. And if you're craving more iconic car videos, just hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you're the first to know when we drop a new video. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay revved up and keep the enthusiasm alive.